Welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm George Pennington, your occasional host. And today we have Gene Gudenkauf from AUSA. And as I just learned from Gene, he hails from Seneca, Kansas.
I was born and raised on 160-acre farms outside of Seneca, Kansas.
And that's close to the Nebraska border. Is that what you said?
About 11 miles from the Nebraska border and about 60 to 70 miles from Missouri.
Good gracious. Okay. And then you said after graduating high school, you went to broadcasting school?
I went to
Is that right?
Career Academy of Broadcasting in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
After I passed that and did that, I went out to start doing auditions and stuff like that to try to get into a radio station.
Right.
First question out of their mouth was, have you been in the military?
For real?
Well, this was back in 1969.
Yep, absolutely.
And after the third time of doing that, I was sitting at my house. I happened to know the phone number to the lady that ran the draft board in our town.
Right.
I called her up and I says, when's the next bus? She says, Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
I says, I want to go on the bus. If I pass the test, pass the physical, I want to continue on going.
Right.
And 20 years later, I retired.
Good gracious. So where all were you stationed?
I was stationed in, first I started off in Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay.
Then I went to Fort Gordon for signal school.
Fort Gordon, where's that?
In Georgia.
In Georgia, okay.
And then I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Okay.
Then I went to West Berlin.
Gotcha.
After West Berlin, I went to Fort Hood.
Mm-hmm.
After Fort Hood, I went back to Germany to Kaiserslautern to the 1st Signal Battalion.
Okay.
Left there, come back, went to Fort Bragg again.
Good gracious.
After a few years there, then I left and went back to Germany, to Garlstadt, Germany. And then come back and come here to Fort Knox, and that's where I retired from.
So you retired out of Fort Knox. About what year was that?
1989.
I started to say it had to be 88-ish, 89-ish. Yeah, 1989. So what have you been doing since then?
After I retired, I actually went to the Middle East for a year during the Desert Storm and Desert Shield time frame. I worked for General Dynamics at that time frame, spent a year over there, then I come back and I went to work on Fort Knox because I was in the mechanical field.
Okay.
I went to work fixing the vehicles I watched over in Saudi get blowed up.
Oh, for real? What'd you work on?
Anything and everything.
Did you really?
Anything from an M1 to a Jeep.
Good gracious. Wow.
And then after a few years of doing that, I figured out the M1s were a little bit stronger than I were. So then I got my real estate license, and I've been a realtor ever since with RE/MAX.
With RE/MAX. Here for years and years here in the area, haven't you?
Been a licensed realtor since '94.
Good gracious. That's wild. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Now, today you're here as representative of AUSA. Tell me about your involvement with AUSA, Gene.
AUSA, I started my involvement with them in 2009 when I became the chapter president for the local Fort Knox chapter. I gave that up in 2012. 6 months after I give that up, I get a call from our regional president saying, Gene, I'd like to have you as a state president. So since 2013, I have been the Kentucky state president. Keep in mind that in 2013, when they told me they wanted me as a state president, they told me it was a 5-year position. I think I've been past that 5 years.
They so lie. They so
lie.
lie.
But it's a time that I can go out and support soldiers and their families, and that's really needed at this time and age. And now we're actually being talked to from the higher levels that we need to assist our recruiters in their recruitment stage. In other words, go by the recruiting center, mm-hmm. sit there and talk to the station commanders, to the recruiters, and see what we could do from a civilian community side to assist them in helping make their goal.
Are there any other AUSA chapters in the state? Does Fort Campbell have one?
There's 4 total chapters in the state of Kentucky.
Okay.
Fort Campbell. Fort Knox.
Right.
Lexington. The Bluegrass chapter.
The depot.
The depot.
Yeah.
And then we just stood one up this last year in Somerset.
Pulaski County.
Pulaski County.
I did not know there was one down there.
We had a young person down there that jumped on board and started the chapter last year, had to go through all the steps to be chartered, and at the annual meeting this year, he got the charter.
Did he really? So there's enough retired or enough Army.
He had to have at least 50 members.
50? 50. Okay. And he did. Good gracious. So he had to get out there and get the word out then, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's been working very hard at it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And the key thing of it is, even with the Fort Knox chapter, everybody that you deal with at the local level are volunteers. Nobody gets paid.
You know, I was looking through some of the past presidents, and not all of them were military, were they?
No.
So it really is a community kind of thing.
You don't have to be prior military to be in the organization. All you got to do is have the concern about the soldiers and making sure that they're well taken care of.
Yeah, because I look, and Rick was with the credit union. Was he wasn't? Was he Army before that? Rick Bennett.
I don't know. I just know that I talked him into being the president.
you roped him into that, didn't you? Yeah. Because I know Bill Rissell, he wasn't military before, and Ronnie Pence. I don't think Ronnie was. I'm not sure, but yeah. So it really is a community involvement.
And the president's position is supposed to be a 2-year position.
Gotcha.
I did 3.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I've done a 5-year term a couple times now on the state side.
Now, during COVID, were y'all able to meet during COVID? How did that work, Gene?
It was slowed up, and we're still trying to rebuild from that.
Gotcha.
We couldn't do a whole lot. We did a lot of stuff by Zoom and FaceTime and all that stuff. But it was a learning experience to be able to do that. We only had 1 year that we did not have an annual meeting, but we did have a virtual meeting.
Was that 21?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
No, it's 20.
20. Okay, gotcha.
We did meet in 21, and we did meet this year.
Okay, yes.
Matter of fact, we had 30,000 show up at the annual meeting this year.
Good
I think
gracious.
30,147 or 46.
At the annual meeting
in D.C.
At D.C., 30,000.
And had
Where do y'all meet? The convention center?
At the convention center, and they had over 700 exhibitors.
Wow. Yeah.
They had sold out on spaces for exhibitors.
Good gracious. And they can hold a fair number of exhibits there, and
They had over 700.
Good gracious. That's crazy.
They outgrew the basement 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So now they're on the 3rd floor and on the basement.
Good gracious.
And they fill up both of them.
So when do y'all do that? In the summer?
No.
Fall?
October time frame.
October. That's the best time to do that.
The last 2 years it's been right around Columbus Day.
And did they already have it this October then?
Yep.
Did you get to go? Did you go?
I was there.
Did it go well?
It went well. And as I was talking to you before, our local chapter, the Fort Knox chapter, got 14 streamers this year at the annual meeting.
So those streamers you were showing me, that's from this year?
That's from the 2022.
Wow.
Because we're into a new fiscal year for AUSA.
I got you. So good gracious. Yeah. And hopefully Ron will be able to put those on the screen and show them for this. Okay.
And on November the 22nd, we're going to be having a general membership meeting on Fort Knox at the Sabre and Quill to put them 14 streamers on our chapter flag.
Is that a Tuesday? Do you remember what day of week that is?
It's a Tuesday.
Y'all usually meet on Tuesdays, don't you?
It's a Tuesday afternoon, or Tuesday right before Thanksgiving.
Okay, gotcha. Well, good. Appreciate that. Okay, what kind of things do you want to talk about today with AUSA, Gene?
The biggest thing, and it goes back to the annual meeting. We had a big announcement at the annual meeting this year. The national level has changed the way membership is.
Okay.
We now have what's called a basic membership, which you get about half of the benefits. And then we have a premium membership where you get all the benefits. And on the premium membership, one of the benefits that's on there that I did not know personally until just a few weeks ago, there's legal service that you can get.
Wow.
Free of charge.
Good gracious.
But on the basic membership, you get half of the benefits, which includes discounts that you can get from that I give you that book I think on. But there's a lot of discounts on there, and I would venture to say The basic membership is a free 2-year membership. On that 2-year time frame, I think you could get enough discounts to pay for the next year's, whichever matter you wanted to go on, to be able to get all the benefits.
Yeah, because it's only like 2 year for $10, 2 years at $40.
No. Well, that
different levels.
The $2 or the 2 years for $10 is for lower enlisted and cadet.
I got you.
Yeah,
I think I saw on the website the 2 year was like $30 or something. It was nominal.
It's 2 years for 40 with this new system.
For 40 with this, okay. I mean, absolutely nominal.
And 5 years is $75, which is still.
Okay, gotcha.
If I'm paying $40, why not do the extra?
Sure.
Extra little bit and have the 75 instead.
Absolutely. So you don't have to be military.
Don't have to be. If you look on there, on your sheet here, if you look in here, it tells you all the different ways that you can join.
Sure.
And one of them on there that I always look at is concerned citizen. You're concerned about the benefits being kept around for our military and supporting our military.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as I look at this, even with the basic, which is free, there's all kinds of discounts and podcasts and Job Central, Welcome Packet, ton of stuff already.
One of the things, and I just briefed some soldiers on Fort Knox yesterday, the key thing on the membership, once you become a member, for senior NCOs or NCOs period,
okay,
there's professional development, because the former Sergeant Major of the Army that's now retired daily, 3 times a week he sends out a note to all members.
Does he really?
And it's professional development type stuff. It could be as simple as a quote from a prior Sergeant Major of the Army,
right, to
something that comes down from the headquarters that he's trying to help push out.
Gotcha. Do y'all do fundraisers during the year?
Our fundraiser for the year is the annual golf scramble.
Right.
We're looking at trying to do some other things because of the COVID that happened.
Right.
One year we couldn't
get that together, huh?
You had to play with the numbers to make it work. Mm-hmm. But all of our money that we take in and everything that we get goes back to supporting soldiers and their families. I think last year we did 250 awards.
Did you really?
Before I come here this morning, I was on Fort Knox at a graduation, giving out 3 awards right there.
Good gracious. What kind of graduation was that? You were starting to tell me, and our phone cut out the other day.
The one I did today was a Master Leader course that's done through the RTEC folks on Fort Knox. And what's really neat about that particular course is it's not just an active duty course, it's not a reserve course, it's not a National Guard course, it's all 3 together. You have active duty soldiers in there, you have reservists in there, you have National Guard folks in there.
Gotcha.
And then next Friday I'll be out there to do one for the 79 Victor with RTEC.
Okay, gotcha.
That's when we do the career counselor and the senior leader course.
That Master Leader course, was that over like one day a month over several months, or how'd that work? What was it?
14 days.
14 days.
In a row. No weekends off, no nothing. 14 straight
For real?
days.
Wow. So it's legit then, huh? Yeah. Interesting. So when you say you gave out, 250 awards? Is that what you said? Are them primarily in Kentucky?
They're all here at Fort Knox.
They're all here. Okay, gotcha.
With the summer cadet training on the advanced courses, we give out an engraved saber to the distinguished graduate.
Oh, do you? Okay.
On the basic course, we do an engraved tomahawk.
Okay.
Along with a coin from the local chapter. We cover all the graduations with the Recruiting Retention College, and also 3 of the courses with the Army Reserve Readiness Training Center.
Okay, gotcha. Earlier you were showing me something about the partner application too.
The community partner application.
Yes, tell us about that.
It's mainly for businesses to get involved. You can do the free membership, and all I can do is talk about George or Pete or whoever.
Right. And that's as an individual, but
as a community partner, then we can talk to you about Remax, Abound,
right?
You know,
Swope's been a partner forever and ever. Yeah.
Abound and Swope were our first two members.
Gotcha.
For the chapter when we stood it up.
That's 50 years, well, probably 52 now.
50 plus years now.
50, yeah, about 52-ish or so. Wow. So they've been members all that time. Good gracious.
Mm-hmm.
So
a ton of support from both of them.
Okay. And do you have other community partners?
I think right now, and this is where I'm trying to rebuild it at.
Right.
I think we're down to about 40 to 45 right now.
Okay.
But that was because of the COVID changing and
mm-hmm.
the software being changed at the national level, and it was no real training being able to be done. So it was kind of a stumble and fall type event.
Gotcha. But it looks like even as a community partner, the prices are pretty modest to be a community partner.
You can get two people to represent the company,
right,
for $175 a year.
Gotcha.
And we feel that we give you back that in advertisement.
Gotcha. And then it goes up to 10 members to a 3-year commitment for like $1,750, and then.
Well, the two members for 3 years is $475, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you do remember correctly. Yes. Okay. Well, good. So people, how do people contact you if they're interested in that, Gene?
You can. I'll give you my cell phone number and my email address, and you can put it on the screen for the people to do that.
Yeah.
Or
I have Coach Ron do that.
Or they can go by the town mall.
Gotcha.
Over where you used to be able to go down to the Sears area.
Right.
There's 3 display cases over there. The very first one closest to the child's play area. We have a display there, and I try to update the information there. By Saturday evening, I will have the new membership form and information there.
Okay.
Where people can pick it up.
And on the website, the information's there. If you go to the AUSA website, then you can go to the chapter. There's a little bit of information there.
There's 2 different places that you can go. You can go to ausa.org,
mm-hmm.
which will take you to the national site, or you can go to Fort Knox, ausa.com.
Okay.
And that will do the Fort Knox one.
Gotcha. So that would be the one, FortKnoxAUSA.com, really to touch base. There's a way to touch base with you guys. And
we try to update stuff that's going on. So.
Gotcha.
Here again, we're dealing with volunteers, so sometimes we got to wait for the volunteers to get time to be able to help us. So.
I gotcha. Yeah. So what other kind of projects y'all have going on during the year, Gene?
Well, like I said, we try our best. Over the last 4 years, we have been averaging in between 14 and 16 streamers a year.
Wow.
Many hours and many time frames being worked on. Rick Lewis doesn't live in the area yet, but he helps us out tremendously. I send him information, and he puts the reports together.
Gotcha. How often do y'all meet?
We meet once a month as a executive council.
Okay, that's.
We meet 3 times a year as a general membership meeting, sometimes 4.
Okay.
Kind of depends on what's going on through the year.
Is one of those typically November, or does it vary a little bit?
We do the Army Reserve birthday, which is in April.
April.
We do the Army birthday, which is in June.
June, right?
And then we normally try to do an awards and the changing of the presidents, the chapter presidents every other year, either the awards or change of command type thing, in November, so after the annual meeting, to where we can talk about what we learned at the annual meeting.
Gotcha. I got you. So but you did say what, November 22?
November the 22nd is when we're trying to do the one in
right
to put the streamers on the flag.
And it's at Sabre and Quill.
It will be at the Sabre and Quill.
Right.
I hope I'm not stepping on my toes, but I think we'll be right at $20 for a ticket.
Okay, gotcha. Roughly that area. Yeah. Well, good. What other things do you have with you today that we need the public to know?
That's basically it. The biggest thing of it is look at the information, and it doesn't cost you anything to figure out what we do for 2 years free of charge.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and it is really a community involvement. I've heard Miss Holly sing there several times, and I even hear your voice there in the background, Gene. I even hear that. Yeah.
I've been involved, and Rick and I probably talk more than ever to keep everything abreast and up to date.
Gotcha. So let's see. November, April, June, and we can go to the website. We've got 10 minutes left if we need it, so we can go down any particular rabbit hole you want.
The biggest thing that I want people to understand is just don't send in a free membership. Don't just pay for a membership and not be involved. You're going to get more out of it being involved. And the key thing of it is, I don't know if you have that book that I give you on the discounts?
Yes, I do. Here.
This is one thing that we can give you, and in this book is enough discounts in there that will save you a ton of money just by itself. On the back side of this book is, and as you can see here,
okay,
it kind of breaks down everything. What we do is we support soldiers and their family because of the budget cuts and everything else. The Army might not be able to help get all these awards out. We try to recognize soldiers that deserve awards.
Gotcha.
And from the national level, we try to keep them informed.
Well, when you say you give them awards, is that like dollars, or is it an item they need? How does that work?
It
Gene?
depends on the award. Like I said, for the cadets, we do the sabers for the advanced camp. We do the tomahawk for the. We try to recognize the Soldier of the Year, the NCO of the Year. They don't get monetary handed to them.
Okay.
But in some cases, we will take outstanding soldiers.
I got you.
To the annual meeting, which we pay for, which is a monetary thing, but it's not going straight to them. It's going to get them educated on professional development.
Yeah. The meetings I've been to, looks like y'all have speakers from all over that come in and speak. Talk about that and some of the people you've had over the years. Pretty impressive.
Well,
slate.
Right now I'm working with National because they have what's called a speaker rule.
Okay.
I'm working on trying to get a speaker for the 22nd. There is several people on there, and I can send a copy of it to you. I did not bring one with me, but I went through that the other day, and I was looking at it, and I went, man, look at all these people I know that's on this list.
Oh, wow. That you know?
That have been stationed on Fort Knox.
Wow, interesting.
I'm sure that you might probably even remember Sergeant Major Gabby from USAREC. She's on the list. Lieutenant General retired Evans.
Okay.
That used to be over at HRC.
Okay.
He's on the list. McCathery's on the list.
Good gracious. Yeah.
I'm like, this is a who's who.
And I remember McConnell spoke a couple years ago, and I mean, you got people. And remember the gentleman who, I heard him speak the American Legion end there. I think he got a Congressional Medal of Honor. Real Gary something. Real soft-spoken. Do you remember that one?
We've had a couple Medal of Honor.
And he's so soft-spoken, but you could hear a pin drop. Trying to get everything.
What got me and I have met several of the Medal of Honor recipients. What always gets me is they're not bragging about how they got that. They are probably the most soft-spoken people that I've ever talked to.
Definitely humble,
and
unbelievably humble.
And if you want to get one of their attention, tell them they're a Medal of Honor winner. You will have their undivided attention. They said, no, we did not compete for that. We're a recipient.
Yes.
So.
And I remember him telling a story about how, I believe he was up in some place near Pennsylvania or New York, and he went and was living in a cave. Had to let his hair grow long, and he's trying to sort out why he made it and maybe his buddies didn't, and trying to come to grips with that. It's a fascinating story.
Well, and you have one that was it down here in Hodgenville or Bardstown that was a Medal of Honor Marine.
Absolutely, yeah. Some amazing speakers there. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, local and national and.
The one thing that I have really enjoyed since 2009 doing all of this is the people that I got to meet.
Gotcha.
To be walking through the annual meeting in D.C. in October and hear your first name and turn around and it's a 4-star general.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
that's crazy.
When I was in, you couldn't have convinced me that I was ever going to talk to 4-star generals.
Good gracious. And yeah, and you developed a relationship with them years and years and years ago. And they still, yeah. And that's one thing I enjoy going to DCUC conferences because you get to see some people with real experience, and then you see them year after year, and kind of builds a little camaraderie. And I was Air Force.
Well, going to the annual meeting, I don't call it a meeting. I call it a reunion.
Yeah.
Because you run into people that, Sergeant Major Troxel. I run into him every year.
Yeah.
Just outstanding people that I got to meet and know over the time frame.
Absolutely.
And the good thing about it is we stay in contact with either Facebook or email address, back and forth. And
sure. Yeah. You kind of can. Yeah. So Gene, we've only got about a minute or two, 1 minute, so people can go to the website or call you, and I think we'll have the info on the screen here in the credits probably. But you said it's FortKnoxAUSA.com. Is that right?
FortKnoxAUSA.com.
And
we'll get you to Fort Knox one. AUSA.org will get you to the national one.
That goes to the national one, doesn't it? Yes. So, and then you said something about the display near the Sears in the mall, right?
Well, the old Sears in the mall.
The old Sears,
just past the child's play area there.
Got you.
And I try to keep that updated at least once a month.
Okay. Yeah. So, people, we need you can be an individual member. You can be a community partner. You can come in. I always need people for different projects, and so come support your local community and AUSA.
The biggest thing of it is you can learn what AUSA is all about over a 2-year time frame, and it won't cost you a penny.
No, opportunity cost. So that's about it, right? Sure. And Gene, as we close, I think HCEC-TV wanted me to thank you and AUSA for sponsoring HCEC-TV.
They're thanking the Fort Knox chapter of AUSA.
Yes, they are.
I'm just one peg in that whole area.
Yes. So y'all sponsor them this year. Do y'all typically do that?
The last 2 or 3 years I know we have.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, they sure do appreciate it. And get in touch with Gene on the website or in person or at the kiosk over in the mall, and come support.
And you'll have my cell phone number and email address on it.
Okay. Everybody text him late at night, okay? Late at night. I don't want him sleeping. Appreciate it. Thank you.